overseas, the battle between Israel and Hamas is growing. The Israeli Defense Force releasing a video of bombs hitting weapon caches in Gaza overnight. All of this is part of their air offensive. The Palestinian officials say has so far killed 90 people. The Hamas terrorists, meanwhile, have been firing hundreds of rockets at Israel. And now defense officials there say they may also be launching attacks from the north in Lebanon. David Lee Miller streaming live from the Israeli-Gaza border with the very latest on this conflict. Hi, David Lee.
Hi, Eric. It is dusk here along the Israeli-Gaza border. The sun has set. The day is over. But the violence and the escalation has not ended, not anywhere close. During the last few minutes, we saw a number of rockets fired from Gaza into Israel. Today alone, militants fired at least 100 rockets, many of them medium to longer range. Hamas says it is specifically trying to target Ben Gurion Airport, that is Israel's main airport. Hamas even issued a warning to airlines, cautioning them not to fly into Ben Gurion because that airport is now a target. The airport earlier this week, Eric, as a precautionary measure, decided to alter the flight path of a number of aircraft. And as for the Iron Dome missile defense system, the Israelis have now added an 8th battery. They say the system so far during this conflict has proven to be 90% effective, but it is not, however, completely able to stop all rockets from reaching their targets. One hit a gas station in southern Israel. One person was seriously hurt. Also in the last few minutes, an anti-tank missile was fired at Israeli forces. Hamas has taken credit for that. There are reports that 2 Israelis were lightly wounded. Meanwhile, as for Israel, as you mentioned, it continues its airstrikes. Since this conflict began 4 days ago, more than 1,200 strikes taking place, 230 today alone. The Prime Minister spoke a short time ago. He said that when it comes to a ground operation, he is considering all options. He says he is not going to let international pressure stop him from taking whatever action is necessary targeting militants. Meanwhile, regarding Israeli action in Gaza, 103 Palestinians have now died in this conflict. 13 of them today. We are told that almost all of them are civilians. Also today, the Israeli Navy opened fire on fishing vessels in the Gaza port, and that resulted in a massive blaze taking place. Days ago, you might recall, a number of Hamas militants tried to infiltrate Israel by way of the Mediterranean Sea. And Eric, as you mentioned at the onset, some 200 miles from where I'm standing is the northern border Israel has with Lebanon. In southern Lebanon, which is Hezbollah-controlled territory, 2 rockets were fired today into Israel. There were no injuries, but Israel did return that fire with 25 artillery shells. That's essentially a way of saying, let's not have a repeat of this action. It's not really clear at this time if what happened in the north is an escalation, a serious escalation, or perhaps just an act of solidarity by a few independent operators in the north, Hezbollah not taking any responsibility for that. And before we go, Eric, I'm told that there was just a rocket strike off in the distance in Gaza City, it looks like. From our vantage point, you can see, even though the sun is setting, a large plume of black smoke. In the last 30 minutes, we've seen, I'd say, close to half a dozen airstrikes taking place. And again, we've also seen probably twice that many rocket launches taking place, being fired by the militants. It's dusk, and now the fighting continues into the evening. Back to you.
All right, David Lee, the night does not bring an end to this. Thank you so much.